I'm Shannon Bengford, and that was solo over Hound Dog. We've been working on Hound Dog. This is part of my All Request series where my students get to make requests. This is for Daniel in St. Louis. Hi, Daniel. We're finishing off. This is part 3 of this second video series I've done for my All Request series about Hound Dog by Elvis Presley. We are going to go over how I would solo, just like I showed you, and break it down and explaining how I go from the major scale to the pentatonic scale to using the bluesy pentatonic scale, which is borrowing from the relative minor blues scale, to adding in the flat seventh from the blues scale, and how I come up with this sort of hybrid set of notes over each chord that I can use to solo. It's similar to what I just showed you there, along with some of the bass lines I put down for you to use on this song in part 2. So watch video 1, it goes over the right hand. Video 2 goes over the bass lines and how you put the right and left hand together. And today we go deep into how you would solo and freely play over those bass lines. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to start off by just showing everybody the C major scale here. Okay, here it is in the middle, the C major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Notice I blocked off the F and the B. Well, I'm not going to use those notes when I'm soloing over a C chord. This is over my C6 chord here. So that takes me to the C pentatonic scale, the 5-note scale, C, D, E, G, and A. I also wrote it over here. So if you don't know how to make a pentatonic scale, you look at your major scale and you use 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 from that. Okay, we skip the 4th and the 7th. That's what we're omitting over here. All right, and that's how we get pentatonic. And when you solo with just those 5 notes, it works great over a major chord. So if you're in a C chord and you use C pentatonic, you can see the notes C, E, and G right in here. C, E, and G, or the high C up above it even. Okay, and then the passing note D is right here. And then the 6th is right here. Perfect for a C6 chord, okay? And you can reach these notes just like this. Alright, but that doesn't sound very bluesy. And Elvis is singing the flat third, the bluesy third. So we're going to add that in. When you add that in, if you look over here, my C pentatonic scale, C, D, E, if you add in the flat third, which essentially makes my C chord minor now, that bluesy flat third that he sings, this now becomes an A blues scale. It's a C pentatonic scale with 1 extra note, a 6th note. Blues scales have 6 notes. A blues. Here's A blues written out like this. A, C, D, E flat's the blues note, E, G, and A. That is the A blues scale. Well, if you run it from C to C, it's the C pentatonic scale with a flat third. However you like to think of it. I like to think of it as I'm using pentatonic and adding in these blue notes. Because it helps me focus on the notes C, E, and G. I'm on a C chord. I'm using a bluesy version of C pentatonic. Now, you can borrow one other note. So we got the pentatonic scale here. The C blues scale has 3 blues notes in it, I would say. There are 3 white keys that are from the C scale, but then it's got the flat third, it's got the sharp 4, or the flat 5, which is the tritone. The F sharp there. G's in the key, and then B flat, that is the flat 7. So if you were on a C7 chord, you could use the pentatonic scale, the flat third and the flat 7th. And that's what I've indicated over here now. We're not using the C7 chord here, so I'm not going to put the B flat or the flat 7 in. But on the F chord here, I will use the flat third and the flat 7th. I'll show you this stuff. But I just kind of have all this information laid out here to sort of explain how it is that exactly what notes I'm using over each chord. And it's basically the pentatonic scale with a few blues notes added in. And ironically enough, that is, relative minor is up a 6th or down a minor third from the note you're on. So if you're on a C chord, you're going to borrow 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to borrow A blues. You can use A blues, that's what this scale is right here, to solo with over a C chord. It's going to sound like a bluesy rock song, then, or like a rhythm and blues song, or a southern rock song. It's major with that 1 blues note in there. I like to think of it as going down a minor third. C, B, A to get to the 6th. So C down to A blues. When I'm on an F chord, I'm going to be using D blues. When I'm on a G chord, I'll be using G blues. Okay, alright, so let's just talk about how you finger them and how you play them. Of course, when I'm on my C6 chord, I will use my pentatonic scale just like this. And the fingerings are right up here. 1, 2, tuck, and then 2, 3, 5. It's like I'm hitting a C chord right here. The A is the 6 of my C6 chord right there. When you cross over, I'm in position for a C chord, root position. I could cross over for that A there, or I can tuck under and come up the scale. Alright? Sounds super folky. Or it's like, oh Susanna. Not very bluesy. It's not really matching the tonality of this blues-based rock song. And Elvis is singing the E flat all the time. And if you look at those notes, these are all from the C pentatonic scale with the flat third. Therefore, they are it is the A blues scale. So it just sort of depends on how you want to think about it. If you want to think, I'm on a C chord, use A blues, that's fine. If you're on a C chord, you can use A blues to solo, that's fine. If you know your A blues scale, that's it right here, okay? If you want to think, I'm going to use pentatonic mostly, and just throw in a few flat thirds, that's what this is here. Just add in the blues note down there. Maybe a flat 7. Would be fine too. Alright, if you put in the flat third, you end up with 1, 2, 3 tuck. Cross over with 3. That's kind of how you can play it as a scale. I'll walk the bass line. That's even, but it's swung. So long, short pairs. Long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long, short, long. Or triplet, 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 or triplets. Get comfortable with that. Try it in 3 positions. Root position. Where are your notes? Go to first inversion here. C chord. And second inversion C chord here with the root in the middle. My flat thirds up here kind of a little harder to reach in this position because my weak fingers are up there. You can slide off of it or slide up, go up above it. So 3 positions. Root position, first inversion, second inversion. It superimposes very well over the major chords, and all you have to do is add in that bluesy flat third and you get it sounding a lot like the melody of Hound Dog. Alright, so give yourself a beat, noodle around. Just move your thumb to each spot, G, C, E, and G. Those are your spots. Find the pentatonic notes, add in the flat third. Alright? And the rhythms you're going to play are either swung eighth notes or triplets. And I mix them up between swung eighths and triplets. Alright, walk the bass line. Here's an example. So you just loop this bass line and practice soloing. Crazy. If you just want to get really comfortable with it, you want to spend a lot of time with it. Shift up 4 and you're on the F. Alright, we're going up to the flat 7. F7 now, so we have our F pentatonic scale here. 1, 2 tuck. Find your F pentatonic scale. Try that first. Alright, and then find the blues note, the flat third, the A flat right here. 1, 2, 3, tuck under. Good, and when you're up here and you're on the high F, you can reach the flat 7th right there, the E flat. This is our F7 chord. E flat, our bass line is going up to that E flat there. And you you get this sort of hybrid scale, which is pentatonic, borrowing a blues note from D blues, and then using the flat seventh, which is really borrowing from F blues, I guess you could say. So this is the scale right here. 1, 2, 3 on the flat third, tuck. E flat, you can use number 4. Alright, maybe first you just kind of memorize the notes. These are the notes I'm going to grab from. The second inversion position is the trickiest, but just want to memorize those notes. The pentatonic notes plus the flat third plus the flat seventh. I hope that makes sense. Alright, so we get this. Maybe you just play the F and noodle around. These are called grace notes. You just sort of slide off the flat third up to it. Alright, with the full bass line now. Here I am in first inversion position now. Second inversion position. Sounds honky-tonk like that. And then the same thing on G position. Now we're going to walk the bass line down on the G chord because that's what we did in video on part 2. So you can practice just looping the G pentatonic scale. They all fit the same. It's pretty amazing because the C chord, the F chord, and the G chord, they're all white keys. The pentatonic scales, they fit exactly the same fingering wise. They look the same. This group of white notes. It's not very hard. The only difference on G is the seventh is F natural. So we don't have in F, it was E flat, so you had this flat here. But in G, seventh is a whole step below, and it ends up being a white key, F natural. So our hybrid scale to use on G7 is G, A, B flat, tuck under to B, D, E, the flat 7, and the root up on top here. So I'm in first inversion. I'm in root position. So I can use 2 or 3 on that blues notes here. 2 or 3. You can cross over to the 7th or the 6th. Flat 7. That's a pentatonic note. Okay? Alright, so loop your bass line and noodle around in each position. Go up to B. Go up to D. Alright, if that's too hard to keep that bass line, again, just steady beat. Just a steady root. Okay, let me lay down a solo for you, and then I'll give you one more advanced tip on how to make these sound even cooler. Alright, so I'm going to play all the way through, and we get to this part where the drum fill is. We're going to stop, and I'm going to play a C pentatonic fill with my right hand. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so when the drum stops and it's doing that drum fill, you can just fill, whether there's a drum fill or not. If it's silent space, you can fill using C pentatonic or G pentatonic. I know in my other videos we went to G to do the drum beat in this fill here, but that stop, I would prefer to use C pentatonic there. It's your choice. C or G pentatonic. There's really no chord going on there. Okay, so how do you make this sound a little bit cooler, more advanced? Well, you can do 2-note pairs. Instead of just scaling around with single notes like this, you can hammer repeated notes with the 5th on top or the root on top. So here's C pentatonic, a bluesy pentatonic position here. Like this, yeah. Okay, or you can go to the first inversion shape, put the root on top, and hammer the root on top with these. It's like the whole scale. See, and it gives it more of a bite. Let me show you what it sounds like in solo in here. A few wrong notes there. You can actually hammer with any of the notes. 6th on top, 5th on top, and play around with it. See if you can come up with cool groups, with cool riffs. Alright, I really hope this helps you. If you're brand new to it, just take it slow. Just set a metronome. Maybe don't even play the left hand. Just get comfortable with noodling around the scale. And then you'll have to work real hard at trying to give yourself, your left hand becoming the metronome, a steady beat on just a root and solo and noodle around. But you do want to change scales when you move to the different chords from C to F and D. Don't just use C blues. That would work if it was a C 12-bar blues song, but this is an oldies rock song. And the melody, clearly the melody, when you sketch out the melody, is from C pentatonic with that flat 3rd, or that's also A blues. All the melodic notes fit this scale right here. So that's what we'll be using to solo. Good luck, and I will have a whole series on how I solo over all sorts of styles eventually to help you learn to solo and improvise. So have a great day.